What's going on, everybody? Steve here. This time I'm in Crown Point, Indiana at the brand new Crown Point Sportsplex skate park. This skate park is basically the newest skate park in Indiana. It was built in 2025 by Hunger Skateparks. This is kind of a renovation slash replacement of an existing park in Crown Point that was actually on the opposite side of the park. That particular skate park was just like wooden ramps, prefabricated items, and the city of Crown Point has been growing leaps and bounds over the last several years and decided to build a custom concrete park to replace it. So this park has a mix of street and transition obstacles, lots to skate, plenty of space, and it's got lights. So with that said, I'm going to take you through the park, show you everything that's here, and if you're in the Crown Point area, maybe you want to stop by and check it out. So it's really windy today, so I apologize if you get some wind noise in the background, but I'm going to start out towards sort of the entry area. And this whole skate park is kind of set up in a bit of a triangle, and on one of the points of the triangle, kind of pointed northeast, is about a 5-foot quarter that extends to be about 25 feet wide or so. So it really is your starting point to skate in a number of different directions and get speed. Now, the first thing that you're going to come to after you go over that quarter pipe or go down that quarter pipe is like a 2-foot tall camel hump in the middle of the park. And this is just something to pump over or do tricks over. Lots of options here, but this thing is nice and big. The diameter of this actual piece is probably close to 12 feet, maybe even a bit more. So it's nice and big and mellow to pump over. Now you can go in one of two directions, and I'm going to start by going with these longer down hubba and rail sections. So what you can see here is basically two things. One is a down rail, it's about a foot off the ground and circular, and the next is a hubba that is slightly taller at about 13 or 14 inches. Now these go down a really long mellow bank, so both the hubba and the rail are at least 24-25 feet long, and the tops of them extend out about 8 feet, so you can skate them as a bump to bar or bump to ledge. You just are going to need the speed coming off that quarter to get up to the top of it, but once you do, you've got all kinds of options. And for fans of nice long slides and grinds, you've got a lot of time to camp out on this particular setup. Now, at the decking part of that street obstacle I just passed is a 2-foot quarter that has a subtle hip right in the middle of it. And this whole quarter is probably about 40 to 50 feet long. On the back side of it is the bowl section, which I'll get to in a little bit. But this quarter just kind of sets you up to get a little bit of speed to go hit some of those street obstacles and turn around or go in different directions. So as you kind of turn and go in different directions, you come to another like mellow pitch. Now this actually is kind of like a dual layer setup. So rather than going straight down into the quarter pipe area we started at, this will go to a different level entirely. Now what you see, of course, are twin down rails that go across long 3 stairs. These rails themselves are about 16 inches tall or so, but where you get onto it is even lower. It's only about 12 inches. So they're nice and mellow to get onto, and you can do tricks over them into the banks that are side by side. And of course, it doesn't matter if you're regular footed or goofy footed, you've got plenty of options. There's also a slightly down kind of manual pad hubble edge area, and this is a bit shorter than the rail, probably about 10 inches to get on or so, but extends outward another 2 or 3 feet. So once you grind it, you're going to get all the way down to the bottom, and you've got maybe 3 feet of additional ledge before you get to the end. So that's kind of a nice feature, if you will. Next in the down section is this manual pad slash flat ledge slash flat bar obstacle. The flat bar is again about a foot off the ground. Everything at this park's super mellow. It's about a foot off the ground and extends about 16 feet long. The manual pad is shorter. it's probably 2 feet shorter than the rail on either side of it. So that's about 12 feet long, but it's only about 6 inches off the ground. And then there's a box that skates kind of like a mini out ledge on either end, probably about a foot each. So that's about 14 feet long or so and about a foot high. Now, that ledge is probably too skinny on top to manual. You could certainly try, but it gets narrower as you get closer to the end of it over here. So right side, a bit wider than the left side. Now there's a lot of flat ground space at this park as well, so plenty of room for games to skate if you want. But there is a back quarter here to help you turn around or just get speed to drop in. This thing is only about 3 feet tall or so, about 8 feet wide, so pretty standard quarter there. Now we get to a wall ride, bank, like China bank quarter pipe area. This has like a rebar effect on the coping, which is really cool, and I'm excited to try to skate that and hear it grind my trucks. I think it's going to be a really cool sound. But this particular quarter pipe or bank is about 3.5, 4 feet tall, and then there is a ledge kind of in the middle of it that skates like a manual pad if you want. But this ledge is maybe 10 feet long or so and about a foot tall, maybe a little bit taller. And then lastly, in the street section, you've got an A-frame set of rails and bank setup where going down the A-frame towards the entrance of the skate park is a bit steeper than the part that goes into this flat section. And so you get kind of a mix of options there, but these rails are about 16 inches off the ground or so and extend anywhere from, I would say, about 12 to maybe 14 or even 16 feet. The steeper sections, which I'm currently focused on, go a little bit farther than these sections on the right. There is also, right next to it, a subtle Euro gap. Not a big one, just kind of up a curb almost. But you can see it right here where you've got a nice, enough of a kicker to get up on top of it and do tricks up this Euro gap. Now we've reached the bowl section, and this is a very flowy bowl. There's roll-ins to get into it if you're not comfortable dropping in. But most of it is like 4 to 5 feet tall, but there is a taller section that's more like 7 or 8 feet. I'm going to start by getting down in here and showing you the 4-foot sections. But the thing I want to point out is that there is this large spine in the middle of it with kind of a volcano-style hip that you can either roll into or do stalls or what have you. So it does set up well for airs out of it, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. But I just, like I said, wanted to mention it because there's all kinds of different lines that you're going to see in this particular bowl. So here you can see the spine that's 4 feet tall and is really, really long, probably close to 30 feet long or so. And coping goes all the way towards the end of it on one side, and then there's a break where there's a roll-in section. Behind it is a mix of like 6-foot extension with 4-foot quarter, and there's all kinds of corners as well as hips. So you're seeing like this hip in front of me, super mellow, the volcano on the left side of it, bold corners that are really wide and open on the other side, before you get down into the bigger section that's basically like a 7-foot quarter. So right in front of me, this is the big like 7 or maybe even 8-foot quarter with that escalator. These escalators probably take you up and down about 3 feet or so on either side. And there are kind of, I would say, there are kind of bold sections right over here and right over there. And those bold sections kind of straighten out, and you've got maybe about 20, 25 feet of straight coping before you get around to the other corners. And then on the opposite side, we're facing a 6-foot quarter, but remember, on the back side of this quarter, you've got like a rolling area. So you can air out of this quarter into a rolling area, and I'm sure some rippers will definitely be getting air out of this and doing all kinds of tricks. Now, there are some other hip sections here as we get more into another 4-foot area. And then there's also, and these are pretty standard bowl corners, there's also like a 5-foot embankment, which you see as well. This doesn't have like a curvature to it like a quarter does. but it just gives you some flexibility for errors. Very similar to like the wall that's in the bowl at the Willard Park in Indianapolis. Lastly, we've got the Amoeba pool. Now, this pool, as you can see, has coping and tile throughout it, but it's not really steep walls like a traditional pool would be. In fact, it skates much more like a bowl would and very mellow. So I'm going to get down in there and show it to you, but you've basically got these twin hips in the middle, a section that is slightly shallower right here on the right, and then a deeper section on the left. So I'm facing the shallower section that's about 5 feet tall or so, and you can see pretty standard setup, and then we get down into a slight roll-in before we get down to a 6 foot section. And like I said, there's pool coping and tile throughout it. Even with the tile, they did this mosaic crown pattern to pay homage to Crown Point, which I think is a nice touch. Looks really good, and I think it'll be a great setup. But I do all kinds of skate park tour videos. Yeah. Okay, so that does it for the skate park tour of the Crown Point Sportsplex Skate Park. I hope you found this tour informative, and certainly you saw that there's lots of options at this particular park. Really a nice crown jewel, if you will, of Northwest Indiana skateboarding, and I'm definitely excited to skate this park and come out to it from time to time as well, because I think it's a really cool design. If you have any questions about the skate park, just drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, I will see you in the next skate park tour video. Thanks for watching.